gavel silent, please. Respect the gavel. Good evening and welcome to the September 18th, 2023 meeting of the City of Summit Zoning Board of Adjustment. My name is Stephen Spur and I am chairman of the Summit Zoning Board. In accordance with New Jersey Statute 10:4-10, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to a newspaper of record and has been posted here in City Hall. This meeting is a judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be limited to the issues that are relevant to what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and decorum appropriate to a judicial hearing must be maintained at all times. For the benefit of the interested public, this meeting is being live streamed to the city's YouTube page and broadcast on Summit's government channel, which is Comcast Channel 34 and Verizon Channel 30. Please note that fire exits are to my right, your left, and at the back of the room where you entered. The city has a listening system to assist the hearing impaired. If anyone needs hearing assistance, please obtain the system here at the dais and return it after our meeting. Andy Ball is the zoning board's attorney. He will advise board members on matters of law and is a key interface with an applicant's attorney. Mr. Ball does not vote on the applications. Stephanie Soulios is a city employee and is the zoning board secretary. Ms. Soulios assists applicants with the preparation of their applications, planning our agenda, and keeping our meeting minutes. Ms. Soulios also does not vote on the applications. Our board consists of 7 regular members and up to 4 alternates. All members can participate in the hearings tonight, but a maximum of 7 can vote. Most applications require a simple majority to be approved. Some applications require 5 affirmative votes to be approved. You will be told which majority will be required before we begin our deliberations. Ms. Soulios, will you please call the roll of the members?
Sure. Chairman Spur?
Here.
Vice Chairman Steiner?
Here.
Ms. Newell? Here. Mr. Gonzalez?
Here.
Mr. Mullen?
Here.
Mr. Millay is excused. Mr. Loikis?
Here.
Ms. Toth is excused. Ms. Sager? Here. Mr. Feskins is excused. And Mr. Yuko is excused. You have a quorum. You may proceed.
Okay. We generally hear the applications in the order they are listed on the agenda. We try to have each hearing last no more than 30 minutes, but we do understand that some applications are too complex to be heard within that time frame. Each hearing begins with the applicant or their attorney giving an overview of the application and the variances that are required. We then hear from any expert witnesses the applicant may have to help explain the application and why the variances are needed. The board members may ask questions of the applicant, their attorney, and the expert witnesses. Once the board professionals and board members have completed their questioning, the public will have an opportunity to ask questions. This is not the time to tell us what you think about the application. That opportunity comes at the end of the hearing. Before you ask your questions, please clearly state your name, spell your last name, and provide your address. It is important that our court reporter be able to keep a clear and accurate public record. The court reporting is done actually through the audio-visual system, so important you speak clearly into the microphone. After all witnesses have been heard, members of the interested public have their second opportunity to speak, and at that time you may express your opinion, positive or negative, about the application. Then the public hearing is closed and we enter into executive session where board members discuss the application and vote. You will be able to listen to our executive session, but you will not normally be able to participate in our discussion. Most applications are heard and decided in the same evening. If an application requires additional information or testimony that cannot be presented tonight, we will carry your application to another date and it will not be decided during this meeting. Krista Anderson, the city's zoning officer, has asked that I remind all applicants that they must read carefully the resolution that documents the zoning board's decision and to pay particular attention to conditions contained in the resolution. For example, if a landscaping plan is required, you must obtain one and submit it to John Linson, the city's forester. If a grading plan is required, you must have one prepared by a civil engineer and submit 3 copies along with the application fee to the city's engineering division. Failure to satisfy all conditions in a resolution will result in a delay in approving your application, as it will necessitate additional follow-up from zoning and other city staff. The resolutions documenting the board's decision will normally be available 1 month after we decide the application. If you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I will ask representatives of each of the applications to just come briefly to the podium here. I'll just ask you if you think you can complete in 30 minutes, and if you have any witnesses with you this evening. Before we actually begin the hearings, we will, though, address the Kent Place application and when it plans to be carried. So hang tight with me back there in the back rows. So first we'll go to actually to 47 Hawthorne Place. Just one person's fine to come forward. You don't have to go. Hello.
Hello, Abdullah Samega, 47 Hawthorne Place. We have Dave Rosen as our expert today.
30 minutes sound about right?
Yep.
Excellent. Good answer. All right. Next is 116 Rotary Drive. Don't be shy. Your name?
I am Tim Klesse, I'm the architect for the McPartlands.
Hi, Tim. Any other witnesses this evening?
Just me and Mr. McPartland.
Okay, excellent. And 30 minutes sound about right?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. You can
Thanks.
grab a seat. Next, we'll hear 38 Harvey Drive. Do we have Joshua or Lauren?
Good evening. I'm Joshua Meredith from 38 Harvey Drive. David Rosen will be representing us this evening, and 30 minutes sound great.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Rosen's got his work cut out for him tonight. I think there's another one, though, 10 Midland Terrace. Hello?
Hi, I'm Margaret Covera from 10 Midland Terrace. Mr. Kelly will be representing us tonight, and 30 minutes sounds just fine.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. And then what would be the fifth application would be 76 Beekman Road, the Warrens. Hello. You're Mr. Warren, I presume?
No, I'm the architect.
You're the architect, okay?
Yes.
Any other professionals with you tonight?
No, just
And
the-
30 minutes sound about right?
we could do
All
it.
right, hang in there. We'll get to you, I hope.
Thank you.
All right, before we proceed with 47 Hawthorne Place, the first hearing listed on the agenda is 42 Norwood Avenue, Kent Place School. This was carried from a prior meeting. I don't even remember the date at this point. September 6th, sorry. This is our third meeting in the month already. This has, in consultation with our professionals, our board, and naturally the applicant, is being proposed for continuation on October 11th, 7:30 p.m. It's a dedicated special meeting date. There's no guarantee we can offer that it'll be concluded that evening, but we thought it was prudent to dedicate a date to that, so that no other applications would suffer, but also that they have, as an applicant, the full opportunity to present their case and perhaps even bring it to a conclusion, which would be wonderful. I would note also that the board will request that that hearing be renoticed. It's atypical that we have a continuing application be renoticed, and by renotice we mean neighbors in that 200-foot radius be contacted again by mail, as it does impose an additional expense on the part of the applicant. But because this is, in our opinion, a significant application that's drawn considerable public attention, and it will be heard during a special meeting date, we found it prudent to request that, and the board will make that a condition of the October 11th hearing being heard. Anything else you want to add? Stephanie, anything from you? Okay. I don't believe there is any counsel or anyone from that application here. Any questions from the public about what we're about to vote on? No? Okay. All right. So with that, I'll ask for a motion to hear a continuation of Kent Place School, 42 Norwood Avenue on October 11th, 7:30 p.m. here in council chambers. The applicant is waiving the time with which the board has to act, but this will be subject to notice. Yeah, cool.
So moved.
Move a second?
Second.
Oh, you can pick. A roll call?
Sure. Vice Chairman Steiner?
Yes.
Ms. Newell?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Mullen?
Yes.
Mr. Loiketz?
Yes.
Ms. Sager?
Yes.
Chairman Spur?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay. Thank you. Spread the word for anyone who is here just for that, but thank you so much for coming this evening, just in case. You're welcome. All right. First up will be 47 Hawthorne Place. What we'll do, as Mr. Rosen gets set up, is we can swear you in as the applicants. You're going to tell us very briefly about what you're here looking for, and then we'll ultimately have him do all the heavy lifting for you. Okay?
All right, if you could each raise your right hand, if you're both testifying. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And then one at a time, please state your name, spell your last name.
Zaina Sameka, S-I-M-A-I-K-A.
And S-I-N.
Thank you.
And I'll just note that Diana Sager is actually going to exit the chamber. Sorry, Diana. She's recusing herself from this application. All right, so either or both of you just briefly introduce the application, and then, as I said, we're going to make David earn his keep tonight.
Sure. And can you guys hear us okay?
Yeah, if you can, just try to speak directly into the microphone. We had some audio issues in the last hearing,
Sure.
so thank you.
So good evening. So we are applying for two variances tonight, one for building coverage, the other for lot coverage, to expand our garage so that it can properly accommodate two vehicles. Currently, it's just a little bit tight. It wasn't really designed for that purpose. And then a little bit of beautification of our patio. So that is really kind of the sum total of it.
Okay. Anything you'd like to add?
No,
No?
you got it all, yeah.
Wonderful, right in sync. Any questions from the board for the applicants? No, hearing none. Are there any members of the interested public here for this particular application? I'll ask a couple more times, but if you change your mind in terms of where you live, let us know, but otherwise. All right, Mr. Rosen, we'll just briefly swear you in.
Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give in this matter, the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name.
Dave Rosen, R-O-S-E-N, partner at Rosen Kelly Conway Architectural Design.
And I'll note for the record, you've appeared before us many times, including recently. Any changes to your credentials since the last time you were here?
No,
I imagine the board would like to accept you once again.
We will. Welcome back, Mr. Rosen.
thank you. So, as Abdullah mentioned, we are here for an expansion of their garage. The garage is currently about 17 by 20. This is the house. I'll show you the garage in a moment. So, we're not making changes, we're not we're not adding anything to the house, we're just adding on to the garage. But in doing so, we're going to bring the non-conforming garage to become a conforming structure by being able to fit the 2 cars. Now that adds building coverage and lot coverage because we're expanding the garage and a little bit of driveway in front of the garage. But this application is to keep the lot coverage exactly the same and to reduce the building coverage. And the way we're doing that is what I'll explain. We are, so I'm just going to go through some of the things. On this is the front of the house. If we want to look at the front of the garage,
Sorry, just quickly, Mr. Rosen, these photos, when were they taken, just for the record?
these are taken, give me 1 second, December 13th, 2022 by David Fernandez in our office.
They fairly represent the condition of
Yes.
the property today?
Yes.
Okay.
So the garage is this, photo taken at the same time. And it's a cute little garage, but it's not quite big enough. And although 2 cars can sort of fit in, it's very difficult to get into the cars when they're in there or out. So what we're planning to do is to add to the left side of the garage by about 6 feet and to replace the garage door with a wider one so that it's easier to get in and out. And as I mentioned, in order to do that, we're going to be reducing building coverage and we're going to be reducing lot coverage is going to be kept exactly the same by taking some areas that are currently counted as lot coverage and removing them. So one of the things that we're going to do is on the sides of the house, I don't know if you can see the cursor, but over here on the right side, there are roof overhangs that extend over 3 feet to the sides and to the front. Now in the front, we want to keep it on those over the 2 bay windows because it looks nice, but it also extends way over the driveway by about 3 feet. And so we would be removing those overhangs or cutting them back so that it's less than 2 feet. The way that the Summit ordinance is defined, if a roof is less than 2 feet of overhang, none of it counts in building coverage. If it's over 2 feet, so we have 3 feet, all 3 feet counts. So we're going to be removing those overhangs on the sides and in the back, and I'll just show you the back. So you can see on the far right of that drawing, there's a big overhang. That gets removed. And there are some other areas where the patio comes right up to the house. When we remove some of the big roof overhangs, we're also going to have planted areas between the patio and the house so that we get the right balance. We'll keep the lot coverage exactly the same, and we will reduce building coverage. Now, there is a question about the building coverage and what that number is. We had submitted the application saying it was 22.2, and we were reducing to 21.1 for building coverage. Both of them are over the 18% that's allowed, but we're moving toward conformance, but not getting there, so we still need a variance for that. But what Krista noted is that this patio is more than 1 foot above the ground, and so therefore she has counted the patio in building coverage. We're still making the reduction, but the numbers are different. And Krista notes that in her comments, and she says it this is her comments from September 5th, and she says that the building coverage right in here is 26.43, whereas 18% is the maximum permitted. The building coverage includes the area of the patio, she has in quotes, in the rear yard, as it is more than 1 foot above grade, and therefore meets the definition of deck and is included in the building coverage. The existing patio is being reduced in overall area. The existing building coverage is also being reduced in area by removing areas on each side of the house where the roof eaves are more than 2 feet wide. And then for the lot coverage, she has a different calculation, but she ends up at the same place. Down in here, she says for lot coverage of 43.6, and she says the existing is 43.66. We have it as exactly the same. When we calculate it, we do it by the computer, going around all of the areas, and we get a total. Krista uses, I think, Stephanie, you can tell me whether she has a ruler, and she measures the various pieces and ends up with a long tally of numbers, and it's miraculous that we get as close as we do, because in some cases, there's sort of, is she measuring to the middle of a line or to the outside of a line or whatever? In any case, we would accept both of her numbers, because the bottom line is it's the same project, and it's just a matter of whether the difference between us saying that the finished dimension on building coverage is 21.1, this says 26.43, but I think that although Krista did not indicate what the existing coverage is, I think it's 27 point something, but I didn't get that number directly from her. In any case, just going back, I don't think that there was anything else that she had. No other comments that she had. So in describing the project, as part of your package in the project narrative, it says exactly what we've said, and it's lightly sort of highlighted in here. The project consists of a 1-story addition to the existing undersized detached garage so that it can fit 2 cars, along with these various other modifications. And these are the numbers for lot coverage, again, 43.6, same as existing, and building coverage is a decrease of about 1%, but again, Chris is counting the patio within that. I just wanted to mention also, again, that in adding onto this garage, we are achieving conformance because the requirement is to have a 2-car garage, and the current garage does not count. If a minimum 2-car garage is 20 feet by 20 feet, this one is currently 17 by 20, and it's going to be a little over 22 feet by 20. So, and then she goes, then the description is what we've already covered here, and the garage addition is about 116 square feet, or it may be 120 depending on exactly how it's calculated, but in any case, we are removing down here about 240 square feet with these roof overhangs in order to offset that. So I have the drawings, and I just wanted to show you a couple of items on the drawing. So this is the site, a portion of the site plan. It comes in a little bit of it. The house this is the existing with the house down here, patio to the slightly upper left of that, and the garage in the upper right corner. This is the existing, this is proposed, this is that new addition, about 20 feet by about 6 feet wide, and we have a little sliver of driveway, that is a little triangle in there that we're also adding. but we're taking away some driveway so that there's more green around the back of the house than there is over here. Against the house, there's just one little patch of green. Here we have 1, 2, 3, sort of 4 or 5 little areas. So that's where we are reducing both building coverage and lot coverage. And then we've added a little bit, maybe a little hard to see on this screen, but there's an area here where when I go back to the photo of wherever that, oh, here we go. So the photo of the front of the house, I'm sorry, on the back of the house, where there's wall down in here, we're putting some steps so there's easier access from the patio to the garage. Anyway, that's most of the application. I can show you, along with this, just the view of the front of the garage. So this is the way the front of the garage looks now, and a view from the side. The side view is unchanged, but the front just extends over to the left about an additional 6 feet, the wider door, and that's our proposal. Are there any questions?
Maybe Dipti, anything you want to draw out from the engineer's report?
Yes, so I have two main comments for this. One is there are, based on the photos that were provided with the application, I think they were taken in December.
Yes.
There was some landscaping on this where the addition is proposed. Is that to be removed? Is there a tree involved? Yeah.
Okay,
Some
let me-
discussion of a crepe myrtle or something from
Yeah.
Mr. Linson.
Yes, John Linson had asked for the crepe myrtle to be relocated, transplanted.
Okay.
We're glad to do that.
Okay.
This is the crepe myrtle, which doesn't have any leaves on it in December, and there are some other bushes next to it. We would plant against that side of the garage, just move it over.
Okay.
In the event that one of them doesn't survive, we'd replace it.
Okay, yep, and then the other one is just soil and erosion sediment controls, just, to provide testimony, those will be, put on site during construction.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
okay.
Any objection to including as a condition of the application the engineer's letter, just to capture all of Dipti's many points?
No objection.
Okay.
The eaves that you're removing.
Yes.
Do they serve any functional purpose?
They serve an aesthetic purpose, but they do hang over the garage side, over the garage side, they extend way into the driveway, on the driveway side, way into the driveway. They don't have any vehicles tall enough for that, but a delivery truck or something might have a little bit of an issue there. What we wanted to keep is the appearance on the front, so we were keeping above those 2 bays. We have that part, but off to the sides, like to the left, let me just get that. All right, I'm not sure why these are up here, but in any case, to the left, there's a bit of an overhang on the far left. Almost nobody sees that, and it doesn't really add to the aesthetics of it. At the back of the house, they hang out over, in some cases like here, this one is actually quite deep. This one is more like closer to 4 feet deep, and it's not really doing anything. At one point, the house had a different appearance in the back where this roof line continued across, but that's not there anymore.
So the public's view of the house wouldn't be adversely affected?
Correct. Right.
And I have one follow-up for the applicant based
Mhm.
on what you said about the patio. When did you acquire the home?
Last year.
Okay, so at that time, the patio was in the present condition?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any question?
Apparently it wasn't the same in 2011 according to this document.
Right.
Right, but, the applicant clearly didn't have control over that aspect of it.
Any other questions from the board?
I'm getting a little confused here. You get a credit
Mhm.
of 4 feet when you take off 2 feet to get it down underneath 2 feet. How much are we really taking off in real numbers? And not just what you're getting credit for, because you said in the front, you've got a 3 foot, and you're
Yes.
taking off 1 foot, and getting credit for 3 foot.
Well, in the
So how
front,
much is the total that we're really taking off?
those overhangs of roof, we're taking off maybe half of that. So if there's 240 square feet that is being taken off, there's something like 309 square feet of this overhang that counts in building coverage. And we were leaving some of it like in the front over those bays. And for the other areas around the back and on the sides, we were taking off 240. I would say that about half counts as, well, I mean, in zoning is what zoning is. And so the rules just, that's what they are. But to answer your question, about half. And we are reducing, we're adding about 120 square feet on the garage. We're reducing about 240 of what counts as overhang for building coverage. And if it was about half that, then it would be net sort of zero. But Krista interprets the ordinance the way that,
So the real
way it's
number
done.
you're saying is 240 more feet than is written here. And that's 2,259 is what's proposed of building coverage. So it's really
when you say real, according to
actual
the,
physical stuff on the building.
yeah, but zoning doesn't have to follow logic. It just follows its rules.
But I
And
guess
I
do.
understand what you're saying.
I guess I do, and if I'm only
So-
taking that much off, how much am I taking off? In essence, I'm not reducing, I'm increasing. Because it's 2259 versus existing is 2380, and you're adding another 240.
No, we're not adding 240. 240 is the amount of the current overhangs that count in building coverage now that won't count because they're gone. They're not completely gone,
And half of them are staying, is that what you're saying?
roughly half, I'm guessing.
So, okay.
So then it ends up breaking
I really wish we
even.
weren't guessing.
Do you care about
Pardon
the
me?
eaves, or you just care about really the true building
Oh,
coverage,
I
which is the
want-
garage? The only real building addition is the garage.
What's the variance, you know?
The only real impact is the garage, the addition of the garage.
Can I interrupt and ask a question, because
Yeah.
I
Go
have an
ahead.
issue with this too. And I think to your point as well, do we gain anything by changing the roof line for the garage coverage? Or are we doing it solely because we have to like meet parameters, because zoning is arbitrary in the numbers that we have set because of rules that exist? Not arbitrary and capricious, but arbitrary in general because we made rules and we have to follow them. So I'm throwing that out there. I would hate to see you guys change anything if we would normally just vote on the garage and say the garage is not a terrible
Mhm.
addition. It makes sense to do this. It makes it functional, and we're just gonna go by the bare bones, and we don't have to cut back on something that doesn't need to cut back. I was gonna start asking questions about where the sun sets and the sun rises every morning, because maybe you wanna keep more shadow exposure over the backyard if need be. If you have testimony to that, cool. If not, I don't really, it's going to the point of, do we need to cut back on the eaves because we have to meet some requirement? Or can we go ahead with the existing garage addition without needing to cut back?
Okay, so I appreciate that question, because I think that what you're asking is, what if we didn't cut these roofs back at all?
Exactly.
Then what would our numbers be? Then we would have an increase in building coverage. It seemed to me that zoning is what it is in Summit, and if we can find a way to reduce the building coverage, that's probably beneficial. Going towards conformance is usually better. I don't think that it really hurts the house. I don't think it's an enormous cost. Some of them we would want to remove anyway. In the back, for example, just in this photo, this piece that overhangs, nothing else in the back overhangs that way. It's just this area. When you look up higher, the overhangs are quite short. So this is This is a vestige of something that isn't there anymore, and we want to have planted things below it. So that piece was coming off. And while we were looking at it, we thought, why don't we just make an overall improvement, not just in the garage? Because most of the time when somebody comes before you, they're saying, we want more. And we're saying that we're supportive of taking something away because we feel like it's moving towards compliance.
I don't know why you're feeling so generous this evening. Mr. Rosen is expressing a very creative way to strike a balance here, and we should applaud him for that.
I
Perhaps
no,
reward
I
the
agree.
applicant. But it's a fair question.
It's a change that you won't notice.
I agree.
Right, they're not eliminating the eaves, they're
And
reducing it by
Mr.
a
Rosen
foot.
did what we ask all architects to do, which is sit their folks down and say, you can't just get whatever you want, you gotta make a trade-off. And they made a trade-off.
Right.
For something that I live very nearby this house, I had no idea that the 3-foot eaves extended and caused building coverage problems.
Right.
So kudos to you, Mr. Rosen. and
In the
David.
front, it matters.
Clever solution.
Right.
In the front, it matters, and we kept these overhangs around these bay windows because it mattered both for the aesthetics and just having the house feel right. They don't have these big overhangs up on this, by the second floor. And this one on the right, you don't even really see it because there's sort of a, I don't know, 14, 15-foot high hedge on that side. So you don't even see it from a distance. It's only a little bit from straight on. We felt that instead of just asking for more, we would, unusual for most applicants, but we would say, can we have a variance to do a little,
It's very
something
nice
that's
to,
less.
Massively restrained.
It's nice to hear it be articulated on the record
Right.
that you're cutting
Right.
back in order to get something in the variance.
All right,
So
well,
yes.
we've crossed the line, we're working too hard right now.
Yeah.
Can I ask a
But Liz, go ahead.
For the garage, so with the new improved garage, both cars can fit comfortably in, and you'll
Yes.
be able to back out comfortably?
Yes.
Not, well,
Well, because I looked, listen, I hit my garage all the time, but I just thought, when I walked your property, I'm like, that seems kind of, like, I know I probably couldn't do it, but, you know, I'm limited.
it
But
is not, it's nowhere near ideal.
No,
Abdullah said that he would take the side that has less room. He's pretty
Smart.
fussy about his cars, he's not gonna hit anything.
you'd be surprised. Okay.
But
'Cause I
it's
just
not,
thought it
it's
was-
not perfect, it is what it is.
But it's better.
It's in the back corner of that lot, and just in looking at it here, there's not a tremendous amount of room.
No, I walked it, I think it was
Mhm.
yesterday, and I just thought, even with the larger garage, it seems,
And,
that curve,
Right.
I would probably hit the house, but.
and that is one reason why, in the proposed, we extended that door almost the full width of the front of the house, of the garage. So that when that door goes up, you don't need to perfectly line up and go straight in. You can swing the car a little bit and get it in there,
Okay.
or he will.
More like a little bumper on the corner of the house or something.
Yeah,
Reflectors,
a little fender on the cars.
There we go.
Okay, any other questions from the board then for the applicant? No. Any members of the interested public here this evening? Last chance, questions or comments? Okay. Anything you'd like to say in conclusion, Abdullah, anything?
Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Andy, I think we had maybe 2 conditions, 3?
2 conditions. One is our usual compliance with those conditions noted in the board engineer's memorandum, and the second is regarding the tree, that the applicants will relocate the existing crepe myrtle. In the event it does not survive, it will be replaced.
Yes.
Excellent. All right.
Just quick, Abe, did you say there were 2 of those? Of the crepe maples?
Just one.
One.
Just one? Okay. I don't know why I thought I heard 2.
Okay. Who'd like to begin the deliberations? Keep going.
I have absolutely no problem with this one. I think it makes all the sense in the world.
Right.
Let's stay within our 25-minute limit and move it.
I agree. Liz, anything you want to add?
No, it's all
Cool.
good.
I will recognize that this decreases building coverage, keeps lot coverage in conformance, and importantly, will make the garage more usable, which I again, I as a neighbor of sorts, well outside the 200-foot radius, of course, have noted over many years of living in that neighborhood that the prior owners of the home had many cars parked on the street at all hours of the night and day, at all times of the year. And we are looking forward to some of these cars being parked in the garage and perhaps in the driveway as needed. And that'll afford some kind of a public safety benefit. And kudos to Mr. Rosen for creative zoning calculation here and looking out for the eaves here. So thank you for that. It's a great model you've set for other applications.
I also want to note that the applicant had nothing to do with the issue with the patio.
That's fair, true. That's true as well. All right. Okay, with that, we have a motion to approve the application with conditions as noted.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second. All right, roll call.
Vice Chairman Steiner,
Yes.
Ms. Knoll,
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Mr. Mullen,
Yes.
Mr. Loiketz,
Yes.
Chairman Spur.
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right, next we're gonna hear 116 Rotary Drive.
Should I get my rotary hat out? Sound the band.
Someone, can I go get Diana?
Oh, yeah, you can, someone wanna hustle out there?
That's an HDMI. It's theirs.
She made a run for it.
Might be a lady.
You, if you want to connect to that, then that's their.
I don't have the stuff, but I'll bring it next time.
Take your time, we're looking for a board member, so.
Now we've lost the secretary. She just came back in.
Okay, we're ready.
All right, one second, we need a secretary.
Waiting on Diana.
We're just waiting on one more board member. Is anyone, no one's recusing from this one, though, right? Okay. Cool.
Here she comes.
All right, and we'll note for the record that Ms. Sager has returned to the dais to grace us with her land use knowledge and wisdom, so welcome back, Diana. First, we're going to swear in our applicant, and then, just as before, you'll offer a brief introduction and hand it over to your professional.
If you could raise your right hand, do you swear from the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name, spell your last name, just the applicant at this point.
Peter McPartland, last name McPartland.
All right, Peter, tell us a little bit about the application.
Yeah, we moved to Summit about 2 years ago, bought this house that we love. We have since had a third child and living at the house, and just want to make sure that we never have to leave the house. So I just want to make some improvements. We're currently adding a third bathroom upstairs that we are very excited to have. And now this is for the purposes of kind of updating and expanding the kitchen and also expanding the mudroom that we are increasingly in need of with 3 young boys. So,
Excellent. Any questions from the board for the applicant? Are there any members of the interested public here for 116 Rotary? None. Okay, all right, we're gonna cruise tonight. Without any questions, then we'll swear in our professional, and then we'll let you do all the detailed work here.
All right, do you swear from the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And please state your name, spell your last name.
Timothy Klesse, Klesse.
Thank you, and I believe you've appeared before us relatively recently as well. Any changes to your credentials since the last time?
No, no changes.
All right, imagine the board
Thank
would
God.
accept you once again.
We'll accept your credentials. All right, Mr.
It's the only
Fussy.
thing I got, you know what I mean?
Talk us through this if you can.
Okay, my drawings that are here are exactly the same as your drawings. So it's a pie-shaped lot up on Rotary facing back towards sort of 78, like the backyard down to 78. Really, the whole reason why we're here is only because since it's a pie-shaped lot, my lot width is measured at the face of the building at this widest point. I think it's 135 feet. The lot width required for this zone is 90 feet. But if I figure on a straight line at the 35, I think it was 140 feet or 137. And so that then gives me my site combine, which I think everybody's been through before, or should I go through it slowly?
Maybe not slowly, but if you can just speak through
Okay.
it.
So my site combine becomes my closest on the left side, and then that would then plus the addition point on the right side would give me my new site combine. My existing site combine is like 15 feet on the left, and I think it's 16.5 or something on the right. Right? It's a violation that's enormous for this width. Our proposed site combine is that same 15 on the left, and I think it's around 30 feet on the right. But it's still a violation of approximately 5 feet, or it's not actually 5 feet, it's that small triangle that we're showing right there on this sheet, okay? And because it's measured straight across perpendicular to the property line, it's that little angled area that's triggering the whole reason why we're here. We, you know, I mean, not that I don't like you guys, but nobody wants to go to the Board of Adjustment. First of all, it's, you know.
We can write the DRO, so
And
don't
then
worry about it.
it costs money to come. So of course, we tried every other way we could to get out of this, because we really don't, you know, want to be here. But this is a real C1 variance. I mean, the shape of the lot is what's dictating this problem. In this case, the addition that we're proposing is really a one-story building. It's on the first floor. Would appear to be, I'm going to say, 2 stories from the back. I don't want to deceive you because the grade is dropping as we get into the backyard. But it's really a one-story addition, and we tried a bunch of different ways, actually, to not come in front of you tonight, and then decided that this was our only option, and that's why we're here. With that in mind, I'm just going to take you through the drawings pretty quickly. I hope I didn't confuse this thing too much. Because now, probably to make it a little more confusing, we rotated the building 180 degrees, because we always put the front door in the front. Okay. So this heavy line, I'm on my BOA 2 sheet, this heavy line that's coming through is what's required for side combined. And it's, the required setback on this side is 33.73 to make my side combined work, even though the side yard setback is only 15. Right? It's 15 on the left, of which we have 16.78, and on the right we have actually 17.02. So if I take that dimension, the 17.02, plus the 33, I get what's required for the zone. Whereas if we were at, let's just say, a 100-foot wide lot, we would be at, you know, 35 feet. We would actually conform in this case, because the existing side yard, perceived side yard setbacks are, let's say, 17 and 16 at this tight spot. In the front, or what I like to call the picture plane of the building, you know, it's about 30 feet here, or 35 feet in the front. But we're getting nailed right for that little corner. It's right there. And it's really a one-story addition that comes out of the building by about 4 foot 2 inches and just squares off to give us a little bigger kitchen so we could fit an island. Everything else in the building is really existing and remaining. If you got over there and looked at it, I don't know if you can still see the dumpster there, but we've been renovating the bathrooms up on the 2nd floor and have some additional work to do in this building, but not all previously permitted. In addition to that addition on the first floor, we're building a new portico, adding the front gable. The Historic Commission actually likes it, which I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but they like it. They gave us a good report, but we have kind of detailed up the front facade there and added the portico to give the building a little body. We also modified this area to kind of bring it in better relationship to the rest of the house. But our addition of why we're here tonight is not visible from the street. Right? It's really tucked behind there in the back of this pie-shaped lot. And then finally, if I come to the rear, you can see what I'm saying, that there is my building, right? It's actually, I said before it was really like a two-story building from the rear, but I was really incorrect. It's actually further down to the ground than I was saying before, right? It's really a one-story building on the back of the house that is kind of allowing us to get a reasonable kitchen into this house. You look at the actual photos of the building, which you have, I think, inside your packet also. The front elevation is a little bit confused, I'm going to say, on the left side, and that we cleaned up with the work that we were doing, and we added that front gable into the front. We added this new portico into the building. When I come into the rear, this addition area is like right in this corner on my photo B, right adjacent to the actual garage. If I really look at this site, we haven't saturated the site in any way at all. The lot coverage still has available 271 square feet, and this addition is really on paved area right now. So it's really just the way it worked out with us modifying the walkway and doing all, we actually have a little reduction in this case of 5 square feet. But this, I'm just trying to tell you that even with this long, big driveway, we're still under on lot coverage.
Is there any element of the addition that falls within this encroachment or causes the conflict that should cause us concern? Is it a large speaker system mounted to it, flashing lights, or something that's going to negatively impact neighbors?
Unfortunately, there's nothing going on here.
Okay.
But the building coverage is also way under. The building coverage is under by 419 square feet. Right? This is, so I'm just trying to say that this site is not at all maxed out. The FAR is under by 280 square feet with this addition. So I guess to sum this up, I would say this is a approvable request and a legitimate request under really a C1 variance because of an irregularly shaped lot. If the town didn't have this side combined requirement, we wouldn't have to be here. Or if we could get a better shaped left side property line, we wouldn't. But all those streets up there are kind of radial, just the way the street itself is.
Do you have any questions relative to the engineering report you want to raise?
I'd like to raise a couple. The file note that was provided was dated June 8th, 2021. Can you please provide testimony that there have been no improvements or changes to the property since that survey?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And then, as usual, just want to provide testimony that for all your construction on site, you'll provide erosion and sediment control measures. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Would you object to an inclusion of a condition where the engineer's letters is just incorporated, so all the points that Dipti raised? Any objection to that? No. Okay, excellent. Any questions from the board? No?
So I think what you're saying is that the reason you're here is because it's a triangle.
Yes.
If we didn't have a triangle, maybe quadrangle, or parallelogram, we wouldn't be here?
Correct. I believe so.
Yes, that's 100% true.
It's kind of what I thought.
Okay. And I'll just note for the record, there really weren't any other comments from The advisory bodies, police, fire, foresters, happy. Who's had someone had something to say here. HPC, they liked what you said, so there's no exception there, and Environmental Commission does what the Environmental Commission does. Anything else, Andy, for the sake of a robust and compelling resolution that you'd like to draw attention to?
I think we've covered it sufficiently.
Okay. Any members of the interested public sneak in for this application? Okay. Observing none, there are no questions or comments. Anything you'd like to say in conclusion?
No.
Okay.
Thank you for hearing us.
Good to have you. All right. What is our one condition, Andy?
Just our usual compliance with those conditions noted in the board engineer's memorandum.
Okay. Who would like to begin the deliberation? David, go for it.
I enthusiastically support this application. The hardship imposed by the pie-shaped lot is punishing. But in all seriousness, it is a hardship. It obviously creates complications with our unique way of measuring side yard combined, and there is really no discernible negative impact from the addition, so I can support it.
Anyone care to add anything to David's comments? Don't have
And
to.
obviously you did everything possible not to be here. So, but we understand that that hardship made it necessary.
Cool. All right. Beyond the hardship, yep, but we just want to recognize that every effort was made to control for potential negative impact, for which there really is nothing that stands out. As a result, the proposed addition is restrained, but adds to the usability of the property, and should allow your family, and hopefully many families thereafter, to enjoy the property in its expanded form. So for all those good reasons, I could support the application and ask for a motion with the condition as noted to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All right. Stephanie, got a roll call?
Sure. Vice Chairman Steiner,
Yes.
Ms. Knoll,
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Mr. Mullen,
Yes.
Mr. Loikett,
Yes.
Ms. Sager,
Yes.
Chairman Spur.
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening. All right, next up, 38 Harvey Drive. Mr. Rosen, you're back up.
Rosen, take two.
Tell Mr. Conway to show up and we get the trifecta.
He's here later on.
All right, let's start with swearing you in, Mr. Meredith.
If you could raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name, spell your last name.
Joshua Meredith, Meredith.
Thank you.
So just as you saw before, you're going to give us a brief introduction. Mr. Rosen is going to go through all the details. So tell us a little bit about the application.
Yes, my name is Joshua Meredith. My wife and I, Lauren Katz, have applied for this variance. We moved to Summit a little over a year ago. We have an 18-month-old son, and we'd like to make the house a little bit larger. So not only that can accommodate him, but maybe some more brothers and sisters down the road. When we bought our house, our backyard was not landscaped. So as a part of this, we are also hoping to be able to landscape the backyard appropriately. That's really why we're here. We really enjoyed being at Summit. Thank you all for your time and attention this evening.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant, for the board? None? Any members of the interested public here for this application? No, the crowd is dwindling, so. Mr. Rosen, we're going to swear you back in, or? I guess so.
I'll note for the record, Mr. Rosen was just sworn in a prior application. His credentials were accepted at that time, and you remain under oath.
Thank you.
All right, you may begin.
My name again? Spelling?
Just go for it.
Okay. So this is the house. It's on Harvey Drive. It's in the R10 zone. Like most of the houses in this neighborhood, it was built 1950s, and the side yard setback, and Krista notes this, the side yard setbacks at that time were 10 feet. This house is 10.3 on the right, 10.3 on the left, except that there's a little addition of a deck that had been added, mostly just an area to step out and a place for the grill on the left side of the house, which reduces the side yard setback on the left side to only 3.3 feet. So we're removing that deck so that both right side and left side will both be 10.3 feet. The requirement now is 12 feet, but the intent on this is to add on the right side of the house. Currently on the right side, there are 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms on the right side, and the goal is to move those bedrooms up to the 2nd floor. And along with, so 3 bedrooms, the bathrooms, and an office, which will face out to the back. And then we can use the current primary bedroom, which is here. We can use that as a guest room / office, and we take the other 2 bedrooms that are in the back of the house and make a family room there. Rather than adding a family room out, we're just using the existing space on the 1st floor in which to make that, that family room. So the variances that we're here for are to go straight up. The addition is really on the right side over here, but in order to make this roof line look a little bit more appropriate for this, in the same pitch as the new addition, we're raising the roof on this side as well. So both sides go up, both sides will be 10.3 feet going straight up. That's really the main variance. The building coverage is compliant now. It will be compliant at the end of this project. Floor area ratio, building height, all of those are compliant. But the house in the back, the house drops off, the ground drops off rather. And so in the back, there's a little deck off to the right side, as I mentioned. I'm just going to show you that quickly. There's that deck, and it extends toward the neighbor. The trees are roughly on the property line. They're actually on this property, but that deck extends about 7 feet into that side yard setback, and it was a way to have a tiny space for a grill, a couple of chairs, and a stair down to the backyard. We're removing that because we're planning to put a deck on the back of the house, which would go from approximately here. It's sort of most of this shadowed area across the back, and we would get a new door in here. This is a bedroom, this is a bedroom. The family room will go from the left side of the house, looking at this photo, to about here. Then we have a doorway, a hallway and a doorway to get out, and the new stair to get up to the 2nd floor. So we'll have a deck across the back, and when we add this deck, we're going over lot coverage just a little bit. So the lot coverage, it's currently 33.2, 35 is allowed, and we're going to 37.5. And part of that is because that lot coverage, we don't need a variance for building coverage for that deck, but we need it for lot coverage because the garage doors are in the back, so there's a big swing around, a lot of paved area in order to be able to maneuver the cars to get into the garages. There are individual garage doors, as you can see, so you kind of have to line up a little bit straighter, so it requires a little bit more room for the driveway. The description of the project is just what I was mentioning. It's a 2nd floor addition, and the deck at the back, that has a little patio below it, mainly because you can't really grow much below a deck, so we've got it as sort of a patio area. And down in here, the existing deck and steps on the left side of the house will be removed. The statistics are what I was mentioning here. Lot coverage is the one with the variance, and that goes from 33 to 37.5, and 35 is permitted. On the side yard setbacks, as I mentioned, the left side is 3.3, the right side is 10.3. That stays the same, but the left side increases to 10.3 because it's going to the house, not to that little deck. We don't need that deck anymore. There'll be a much nicer deck to the back with a nicer view to the backyard, stairs down, and more room for sitting, for outdoor eating, for the grill, all of that. And by removing that little piece of deck, the statistics for the side yard combined go way up from 13.6 to 20.6, because we're gaining that 7 feet. And in percentage, it's 18.1 currently. It's going to 27.5, and the allowable is 35. Krista has the same comments here, and so she indicates the totals. First, the side yard setbacks will be 10.3, which we completely agree with. She also mentions that, as I did, the required side yard setback in the R10 zone was previously 10 feet. Total side yard percentage, she agrees. She says the existing is 27.47. I would have thought that she would have counted the deck. Stephanie, do you have any knowledge about that? I didn't get to ask Krista about that, but it doesn't change what we're doing. We're just going straight up on the two sides. And then the lot coverage. She mentions that the area of the new deck with patio below is about 3.4%, for what that's worth. Then on the site plan, I know it's hard to see, but this is really just as a diagram. You can see that on the existing. I'm gonna blow this up just a little bit, and I'll cut off the top and bottom of the site plan, but it'll show us. Oh, that didn't. There we go. Mainly what we're doing. No changes to any setbacks in the front. It's the two sides. Over here you can see the deck on the far left over here. That goes away in the proposed. And where there's lawn back here and just a little walkway to get in the basement, that's where we're putting the deck and the stair down. And then there's also this gravel sitting area out in the yard. That is also a part of it. That's by the landscape architect. And it's just a new gravel seating area. I think that is counted in the lot coverage, even though it's gravel. And the driveway is staying as it is. It's got this angle off to the side, which is kind of funny, but that's just so you can back out of the garage and then drive out straight. Then the appearance of the front of the house as it is, as you can see, the addition is really on the right side of the house, and then it's just sort of increasing the pitch of the roof a little bit on the left. And I can go through the floor plan if you want, but it is just moving the bedrooms up and the office, and I assume you've looked at that. So I'll stop for the moment and just see if anybody has any questions.
Dipti, you get the first crack. Any questions from an engineering perspective?
Yeah, so mainly, we don't have any issues with the stormwater management measures that are proposed. The Caltech recharger, however, that is located in an area where the proposed fire pit is shown on the site plan.
Okay, that'll
So-
have to move then.
Yeah, okay, so the limit of disturbance might also be moved with regards to that, if you want to show the site plan
Okay.
for the board.
But do you have any concern, Dipti, about the site being able to accommodate a relocated storm water management system?
I don't have any.
No, and we have no.
No.
Right,
Right.
that's primarily a coordination issue because we received things from our engineer and the landscape architect, and a few things got tweaked a bit.
Right.
We actually resubmitted this sheet V1 in part because the landscape area, this is what it was shown originally, and then this got refined a little bit more around this gravel sitting area. They will probably not be right on top of each other.
Okay.
Although since it's gravel, I don't know whether they had that as something deliberate.
I think it's a concern of future maintenance,
Okay.
and anything possibly creating any, drainage issues for what's going into that recharger from that location.
We're glad to coordinate
Right,
with, to have our engineer coordinate with your office in order to make sure
Okay.
that you whatever is,
Yeah.
whatever you want it to be,
Okay.
that's fine.
That's fine, yeah, so the limit of disturbance may have to be adjusted if your fire pit relocates over to the right in that location. Just
Yeah, the
letting
fire
them-
pit would probably remain where it is. It
Okay.
may be the stormwater management, the dry wells that move.
Sure, okay. And then the addition to that, we just would like to see drainage pipes that will take the runoff from the patio area that's not currently shown. That should
Okay.
connect also to the recharger. The other thing was the steep slope disturbance. I just want a clarification if the number that's shown, which is I think 936, is the entire steep slopes on the site, or is it the actual disturbance?
I don't have an answer to that, but I
Okay.
can make sure that it will be
Clear.
clarified
Sure,
with your office.
okay,
It doesn't feel like a steep slope site. There may be some on the sides of the house, because when we look at the picture, this is a fairly gradual slope in the back, and it continues that way.
mm-hmm,
It may be just on the sides where it goes from being essentially just below the first floor level and then comes down more steeply, because I think that they scooped it away a little bit in order to have the full basement exposed across the back.
no problem. The way the plan is shown for the engineering plan, it's beyond the asphalt drive, as you can see.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yes, I didn't, so this is part of the application that we reviewed
Mhm.
for this meeting tonight. So this number that's provided of 936 square feet, I want to just verify, is that the actual disturbance number, or is that just the total steep slopes on the property?
Right, it looks like that is the total,
Okay, yeah,
because the property is 11,000 square feet, and that's about 9 or 10% of that.
sure,
And that, just by looking at the diagram
Yeah,
on your
that's-
computer screen,
right.
it looks like maybe 10% of the lot.
okay, all right, so
Any
we'll
of
just
these-
revise the plan,
Okay.
go ahead.
None of these questions, though, cause concern for you, at least conceptually, about what's proposed?
No,
Okay.
nothing.
And then, just for the sake of the board, the stormwater management plan is appropriately sized for the lot?
Yes,
If
yes.
anything, perhaps adds an
It
additional
just needs
benefit?
to be removed.
Just the
or
location.
relocated, I'm
Okay.
sorry, yeah.
That's
Not
easy.
removed.
Easy for, yeah, right.
Relocated.
These conditions are just flavor a
I,
little bit.
I didn't necessarily hear anything that struck me as requiring a condition unless Dipty says otherwise.
We'll capture all of the need for kind of revision in the resolution. but-
Right, we would want to see a revised plan.
Mhm.
If the city engineer sees it and has, it needs to go to the city engineer's office, that's fine too.
Okay.
And is stormwater management plan is what you're referring to, or overall?
Yeah, the plan that I'm referring to is the lot grading plan that was provided as part of this application. The lot grading plan to be revised with the discussions tonight.
Okay.
Um,
Excellent.
Any objection to including that as a condition of the
No
application?
objection.
Thank you.
In addition to the condition of the engineer's letter as a whole being included. That's okay as well. All right, excellent.
Okay.
Anything else to flag, Dipty? Yeah.
Let me just make sure, no, that was it, thank you so much.
Okay.
There were a couple of other comments. Historic Preservation Commission had no objections to anything, saying the materials are compatible and so on. John Linson mentioned some 7 evergreens. Those are little arborvitae. When Joshua and Lauren bought the house, I think that the builder had just sort of stuck 7 arborvitaes in the ground. I don't even know if they took the plastic pots off, but they're all equally dead, and they'll all be equally replaced.
I think there was plans to do additional landscaping anyhow. I think, Joshua, you noted that. Is there any concern from Mr. Rosen or Mr. Meredith's perspective about screening with the addition of this height for surrounding properties? Any visual impact we need to address rather?
I don't think so. It seems like this has probably more screening than most of the houses in this neighborhood. We're not, as a part of this plan, there's no proposal to take down trees other than to get rid of those little sort of 4-foot tall arborvitae's and fix those.
Okay. Go ahead.
I have one quickie. The door on the left side that goes to the.
Yes.
And inside it's still shown on the plan, or is that a window? I can't tell the difference between.
It will be a window,
It'll be a window, so there will be no door there at all.
correct.
Any other questions from the board? No? Okay, we got that all out in the first application, I suppose. Okay, anything else you'd like to add, Mr.
No,
Rosen?
thank you for your time on this.
Okay.
Your time.
Very much.
I think it's very consistent with what's going on in this neighborhood. It's not looking for anything other than going straight up on the two sides. And one side is really just roof. The other side on the right is just going up to move the bedrooms upstairs.
If you drive down our block, it's like, it will look like every other house on the block.
Okay, good stuff. All right, 2 conditions, Andy?
2 conditions. First is compliance with those conditions noted in the board engineer's memorandum, and the second is that a revised lot grading plan will be provided to the board engineer and city engineer for review and approval.
Okay, who would like to begin the deliberation? Maybe Liz, you want to try?
I think it's a reasonable ask. I'm not sure who put that other little landing on the side of your house. I thought that was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. So I think the patio and the deck on the back would make the house more usable. Adding the additional second floor is a more usable space. And driving down Harvey, that seems to be the trend of most of the houses. So it'll be in line of every other house. So I would be open to approve this application.
Okay. The girls have spoken. Anyone from the boys' side of the dais like to speak? No?
The only thing I would add is that they've been conscious of the drainage issues, which takes care of the neighbors, and hopefully there'll be no further no problems, not further problems, just no problems with water to anybody.
I would just add, the location of the garages in the rear cause a need for additional lot coverage, and given the configuration of the driveway, the first thing that went to my mind is Mr. Rosen's characteristic creativity around eliminating calculations, perhaps pulling back the driveway. I was going to ask him about that, but I restrained myself because I want to continue the usability of the driveway. So I think it's a reasonable request. It's well screened. The visual impact of the neighborhood should be very limited. And if anything, it's really just a modest impact to lot coverage. It is definitionally no change relative to the existing non-conforming conditions to the side yard setbacks and percentages that have been calculated. So with that, I can approve the application. Do we have a motion with the 2 conditions as noted?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Vote, Stephanie?
Vice Chairman Steiner,
That's
Ms. Knoll,
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Mr. Mullen,
Yes.
Mr. Loiketz,
Yes.
Ms. Sager,
Yes.
Chairman Spur.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's take a quick 3-minute break just to stretch our legs and then sprint to the finish. and Midland Terrace. Craig and Margaret Covera. We'll note for the record that Walter Gonzalez is recused for this application. So we'll swear you in to begin.
Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
One at a time, please state your name, spell your last name.
Margaret Covera, K-O-V as in Victor, E-R-A.
Craig Covera, K-O-V-E-R-A.
Thank you.
So very brief introduction to your application, and then have Mr. Kelly do all the hard work for you. So.
Sure. Craig and I moved here 19 years ago and put our daughter through school here, and we decided we would like to stay here until we have to move elsewhere. But to do that, there's some improvements that need to be made to the house to make it really livable. And primarily what we're looking to you for tonight is a small bump out on our kitchen that would enable us to modernize it and make it more usable for today's lifestyle.
Okay, excellent. Craig, did she miss anything?
Nothing to add.
Good answer. All right. Any questions from the board for the applicant? Are there any members of the interested public here for this application? I don't think so. All right, Mr. Kelly, we're going to swear you in.
Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? Please state your name, spell your last name.
Jack Kelly, J-E-L-Y.
Thank you, and you've appeared before us a number of times as well. Any changes to your credentials since the last time you appeared? I imagine the board will accept you again.
We will. Welcome back, Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Spur. So we are here for, as Margaret said, a small, I would say tiny, addition to the rear of their kitchen.
That's what they all say, by the way.
Yes.
But anyways, go ahead.
But in this case, it's true. It's 37 square feet, and it does make a big difference in their kitchen because their kitchen has an odd shape, and this little rectangle of space that we're proposing does make a big difference. So why are we here, and why do we need 4 variances for 37 square feet? The answer to the first 2 variances is the Covera property is a corner lot. It's in the R6 zone. You can look at the site plan that I have here. Almost 50% of their lot is devoted to front yard, since we have 2 front yards and 2 side yards. The side yard behind them, which we could call the rear yard, but in zoning terms it's the side yard, is 5 feet. So, and that's where the kitchen is. So in order to enlarge the kitchen, we are adding a tiny rectangle of space. Right there in this corner, which is 37 square feet. That causes 2 variances, one for side yard. As I said, the existing condition is 5 feet. The proposed condition is 4.8, just because the house and the property line are not parallel. And the requirement there is 8 feet. The second variance that causes is building coverage. The current condition is 20.8, whereas 20% is the maximum allowed. And the little addition increases that to 21.5. So that's just an increase of about 0.7%.
Would you object as a condition to the inclusion of an as-built survey that includes precise lot area?
We do not.
Okay.
So we did file the survey that they had when they bought the house. I don't believe there's been any, you can say, but I don't believe there's been any changes to the property since they bought the house, exterior changes?
No, I mean, the only thing that we've done is we replaced the air conditioner exactly in the spot where it was, and we pulled the permit to do that, so we have that.
Excellent.
There was a question about the air conditioner, which I'll get to later.
Okay.
So 2 variances are required by that small addition. We need a 3rd variance for a walkway behind the house. Currently, there is a walkway, which we're going to remove. All of this brick paver behind the house we're going to remove. And there's also a patio behind the house that we're going to remove. All of that reduces the lot coverage by 4%, which is an improvement. Also gets patio space away from their neighbor. But since the side yard is only 5 feet, I don't have a lot of room to put a walkway back. So the new walkway has a setback of 1 foot. The current walkway has a setback of 0. So that's a slight improvement, given the fact that we only have 5 feet to work with. That's variance number 3. Number 4 is for an existing patio on the right-hand side of the house, which was there when the Coveras purchased the property. and really is their only outdoor living space. We have a lot of front yard, we have no backyard, in reality, 5 feet. And so there is a patio on the right-hand side of the house, which we'd like to keep. Krista's memo, the numbers in that section of her comments are not correct. She mentions a setback of 9 feet and another setback of 6 feet. We don't have those setbacks. To the neighbor to their rear, the setback is 4 feet, and to the neighbor to their side is 2.5. So I'm not sure where all those numbers came from, but just to put it on the record, the requirement again is 8. So we have 4 in the rear and 2.5 on the side.
Okay.
And the patio is screened with a fence. So it gives them some outdoor living space, and they'd like to keep it. We're making some other improvements that don't need variances. We're adding a second floor on top of the garage, for example, for a new primary bathroom. That doesn't require any variances. And we're making some improvements to the front facade. We're adding a roof overhang at the front door. We're replacing the landing and the steps because they're dilapidated. But those don't require any variances.
Okay.
The survey you mentioned, so we would agree to provide an as-built survey with, once the project is complete. There was a question about an air conditioning unit. I brought a photo of the air conditioning unit. You want to see it?
Is it located in a conforming location?
Yes.
Will it be adequately screened?
It already is.
Then anyone want to see it?
It's behind this sunroom, and it has a privacy fence around it, which was done with a permit, correct?
Yeah, there was no privacy fence when we bought the house, and when we replaced it and pulled the permit, they made us put it in, and we were fine with that.
Thanks for
So
following the rules.
It's in a compliant location.
Excellent.
I think those are the 2 things Krista mentioned.
Any plans for a generator?
Wish we could, but
Okay, not in the plans, no worries. Okay,
not right now.
not right now.
I don't know where
Next
we would
phase.
put it,
I
Mr. Spur.
did that.
Fair enough. We've seen some odd locations. We won't give you any ideas, though. Anything else you want to call
So that's
attention
it.
to?
It's a very small addition. It's a big plus for them. And the hardship really is where the house is positioned, I would say.
Mhm.
It's as far back into the corner as it could be.
Dipti, anything you want to draw attention to from the engineer's letter?
For soil and erosion sediment control measures?
Yes.
Since your walkway, construction of walkways are close to the neighbors' yards, we just want to have testimony that you will install silt fence and any other measures
Yes.
as required.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. That was it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, and you would accept as a condition the engineer's letter that captures a more complete set of comments and reviews?
Absolutely.
Excellent, thank you.
I just want to mention, if I didn't already, the lot coverage is being reduced by 4%.
That's a good thing. It's a good reminder. Any questions then from the board? No? Nothing? Got nothing? All right. Liz is shaking her head. Okay, and I'll ask again, any members of the interested public here for this application? No questions or comments from the public? Anything you'd like to say in conclusion?
Just thank you for hearing our application, and we hope to be able to stay here.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
Wonderful.
you.
Thank you very much. All right. Andy, what do we got for conditions?
2 conditions. The first is compliance with those conditions noted in the board engineer's memorandum, and the second is that the applicants will submit an as-built survey, which includes the precise lot area, to the board engineer and zoning officer.
Okay, well done. Who'd like to be in the deliberations? Scott, think you can handle this one? 37 square feet?
I'll try my best.
All right. That's all we ask.
Out of 37,000 square feet.
That we can talk about. I'm entirely in favor of this proposal. I appreciate the fact that they're not exacerbating what is an incredibly difficult condition at the rear of the house, right? So they're staying within the same plane. They're just extending it, and Mr. Kelly has done a great job of taking a little and making it go that extra mile. It's obviously a much better design layout for the kitchen. So with that, I can certainly support this application.
Thank you Anyone care to add anything to Scott's deliberations?
I will add one thing that, I'm glad it's only 37 square feet that we're putting on the record that Krista was wrong, because we never do that. and,
Mr. Kelly did that. I don't
I
want
know,
to put my fingerprints
but-
on that statement.
But nor did we object to it or say it wasn't.
Silence was deafening.
Silent was there, so luckily, if it's 37 feet that's off a little bit, it won't be that critical, and Krista won't be coming down here to give us noise, let us know what's the problem.
Stephanie will protect us from Krista's
Right.
ire, so I'm not
And
concerned.
Mr. Kelly, you may have to come back for that.
No, it's okay. But yeah, and just in addition to that, I would note it's a corner lot, which offers, I don't know if it's a hardship necessarily, but we'll say it causes some challenges that maybe weren't foreseen when the property was built and anticipating how the DRO and zoning would evolve. So that's a hardship of sorts. Mr. Kelly noted the location of the property on the lot creates some issues. Scott echoed that. I would note as well, there's adequate screening that can accommodate for, though there is not a variance for that second floor addition, it's part of the larger application. So we're grateful that that will continue. And the reduction in lot coverage should not go unnoted. That's an appreciated benefit of the proposed design that certainly counterweights the request that they're making here. So for all those reasons, I too could support the application. Do I have a motion to approve with conditions as noted?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Stephanie, the vote?
Vice Chairman Steiner,
Yes.
Ms. Newell,
Yes.
Mr. Mullen,
Yes.
Mr. Loiketz,
Yes.
Ms. Sager,
Yes.
Chairman Spur.
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Yes. All right, and the ever-patient Warrens at 76 Beekman. Thanks for hanging in here.
Wally, he's still here?
I think we can bring Wally back.
I assume you don't.
Maybe he doesn't want. No, he's left his stuff here, so he's coming.
Oh, yeah.
We don't get Mr. Conway tonight?
John and Mr. Conway, 2 out of 3 came back. I don't see much of Mr. Conway. He knows better, I suppose.
It's okay if Mr. Rosen does mine for me.
He's batting 1,000, he's doing well. All right, we got one more board member we're looking to bring back in, so. Anyways.
That's what I always do. Those are our
Thank you.
$10 at work.
Andy home and more just gotta come back to the.
1 AM last night, actually, I know. Yeah, that was getting.
What were you gonna say?
The,
Oh, the last one.
last
Oh,
meeting.
the last one, yeah, yeah, oh, yeah, for sure. Did you find Wally, or? Went to 7-Eleven for a Slurpee or something.
Chili dog.
There it is. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's just hear it. Do you want me to wait for Wally?
If he's gonna be walking in 2 minutes.
They took the men's room for me, so I don't know where else he could be.
5, 6. I guess we could always defer to the applicants. If you'd like to proceed, there are 6 members present. Otherwise, we could wait another minute for Mr. Gonzalez, who would make it a full 7.
It's up to you guys.
Do you guys?
See if he picks up his phone.
One last.
It's pressed in his car on his phone, so. All right, well, if you're comfortable with it, we'll go with 6.
Sure.
All right, thank you for your faith in the board. All right, first, we're gonna swear in the applicant. You'll offer us a brief introduction to your case, and then we'll let your architect do all the work for you.
All right, if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And one at a time, please state your name, spell your last name.
Julie Warren, Warren.
David Warren, WARREN.
Thank you.
Okay. Either or both of you, just briefly introduce what you're here for, and we'll go from there.
Hang on one sec. Is that him coming in?
It is.
It is.
We haven't heard any testimony yet, so he
There's
has.
I don't know where he went.
He was on his phone.
He's on the phone, I know that.
Would you like me to?
Would you mind going out and grab him by the collar and pull him in, please? Thank you. We ask very little of our board members, and so showing up is part of it.
Here he comes.
All right.
Really wanted to grab one collar.
Thank you.
Just for the record, as a partner, so nice.
All right. We're
There you
close.
go.
There you go. All right, let the record show that Mr. Gonzalez has graced us with his presence.
While the applicants were sworn, there's been no testimony, so Mr. Gonzalez is eligible to vote on the application.
All right, thank you for your patience. Ms. Warren, please proceed.
Okay. So we bought 76 Beekman a few months back. We were so excited to move to Summit. We moved here from out of state. I'm originally from the area. And we have a 5-year-old daughter, a 3-year-old son. Our 5-year-old daughter actually attends Wilson Primary, which you will probably see in some of these pictures. And we just fell in love with the home. I think what you're about to see today is probably on the grounds of safety as well as usability for our home. And we just thank you so much for your consideration.
Cool. David, you miss anything?
No, she nailed it.
Excellent. Well done.
Don't like it?
All right, we're going to swear in your architect then, and we'll go from there.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name.
Thank you. Daniel Dubinet, D-A-N-I-A-L. Last name Dubinet, D-U-B-I-N-E-T-T.
Thank you, and I believe you've appeared before us relatively recently as well.
It feels like a while ago, but yes, I've appeared before this board a few times. Well, I've been practicing 20 years, so I've been here probably a good handful of times.
Any changes to your credentials since the last time you appeared?
No.
I imagine the board would like to accept you once again.
We will. Welcome back, Mr. Duvenet.
Thank you.
Proceed.
Thank you. Address is 76 Beekman. We're in the R15 zone. This is an exciting application for me because we get to rethink and repurpose the house and how it flows and how it functions. So certainly the existing house is older home, I think about in the 30s. It has 5 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. And it has a detached 2-car garage. And the access to the 2-car garage is off of a driveway or access road for the primary elementary school. So it's very unique. So of course, the first key to unlock the puzzle was, okay, how do we solve the access to this property? Because it's not functional, it's not safe, and it's a little odd that egress and ingress to the properties, you have to go through the primary school lot and sometimes wait, sometimes not even get there to get into the property, and then to get out, the same thing. So that was the first kind of proposals, okay, how do we clean that up? And so the idea was to make it 2-car attached garage and have it come off of Beekman Road. And then, of course, the other part of the puzzle was to fix the house itself, so increase the flow and function. We're looking to add an addition to the home, to the side of the house, and also to expand the 2nd floor. The variances that we need, well, that's an interesting conversation. I guess we'll start with that. The variances that we need 3 variances, and taking a big step backwards, for us anyway, was recently we found out that Krista has now interpreted it as a corner lot. So for all these months of planning and even, having been the deemed complete application, we were always considered it as an interior lot. And last minute kind of comments from Krista was that, well, let's look at it as a corner lot. And we're not here to argue her findings, because I couldn't find her, so I couldn't, so I had to scramble. So I feel that this is a great application regardless of how we look at it. So if we want to look at it tonight as a corner lot, I think the variances get increased. So if for some reason we get to have her review it again, and there's another point of view. And I think the variance is.
Maybe let's pause there for a second.
Right.
So for the sake of what the board is deliberating on, I mean, our instinct is drawn to what Krista puts right in front of us.
Yes.
But
So, yeah, I did have a chance to take a quick look at the tax map at the surrounding properties, and
Yes.
I wondered whether this would qualify as a corner lot. So I think it would be helpful to envision it as a worst-case scenario where it's considered a corner lot, but I would like to hear the figures if it was proposed as an interior lot as well,
Absolutely.
so that if we follow up and make that determination that it can qualify as an interior lot, then the actual resolution could reflect those reduced
Can I
figures.
ask a question? That driveway from the school does it have a name? Is it?
It's not a
considered-
map street.
On the, right, on the
It's not a
tax
map
map, it is not an actual dedicated right-of-way, it is part of the lot owned by the school.
Right.
So it can be considered a driveway.
That's
Right.
the way
You
I
could
would,
consider this not a corner lot.
that's probably how I
And
would
it is a
look at it.
one-way, it is a one-way driveway, right?
It's a one-way driveway.
So technically speaking, to get into their, they have to go up the street, in the
The
driveway,
terrace, yes.
through the property,
Unless you wanna go, wrong.
through the parking lot to avoid waiting cars, down the driveway, into their,
Yes.
It's been really fun with school starting last week.
okay.
Can we adjudicate this not a corner lot, or is that solely in the
Why,
purview of zoning
why
officer?
couldn't we adjudicate this?
I think we have that discretion and could treat it, make that determination, that it's an interior lot based on the tax map, based on the fact that it's not designated as a right-of-way. And, I mean, the only issue I see is that we then don't have those figures in front of us right now, but I imagine that those can be provided and we could have everything we need to get a fully drafted resolution.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for that. Certainly, in previous communication with Krista, who helped guide, like, maybe the design of the driveway, keep it away from the tree, there was never any mention, like, red flag about the corner lot. And in terms of our research, we came up with the same kind of assumption. But happy to hear that, well, A, we can adjudicate it and we can look at it. Because the numbers then are pretty simple, because then it's, she has this flag for 3 variances, one being the front facing garage, which obviously that goes away. The second one being front setback from the driveway, that goes away, so then it's a side lot, and then we're just in violation of combined side yard setback. So then that would be the only variance is the total combined side yard setback needed.
And can you provide the figure of the total combined? Is it the same as what's noted in Krista's memo right now?
Yeah, I'll
or-
go with her number. Again, I have a 98.2 as the lot width. She's got 97, so Krista's number on the lot width.
Okay.
And then if you take 35% of that, it's 31.5 is the requirement, and proposed 28.1 feet, or 28.6% of the combined. And that's a violation of,
You said 28.6%?
no, I'm sorry, 25.88.
Okay, that's,
proposed.
got it.
Yeah, that's basically 97.
Thank you.
And so that would be a violation of 8.85 feet, or 9.12%.
Okay. Do you have any exhibits?
I do,
Plug it in.
oh. I have a exhibit I'd like to mark as A1. It's 12, it's one file with 12 slides. They depict what you have in front of you, plus some colorization and some additional renderings. But the first one, if we just run to, which I think we're all kind of familiar with, is where it's situated. And we can see Beekman Terrace falling off this way, which is the address of the school. And we see on the right side of the property, we see the little access driveway. So that's us sitting here. So again, to just go backwards in time, the red box in the back left corner, that's our existing detached garage, which is actually existing non-conforming because it's closer than 4 feet to the property line. So we'd like to remove, I'm drawing on here. We'd like to remove the garage. We'd like to remove the driveway. As a result, there's no building coverage, there's no lot coverage, there's no FAR. So it's all about the combined side yard setback, and that's a function of the existing house, its orientation on the lot, so.
To be clear, sorry, the
Yeah.
building coverage, or rather lot coverage is decreasing?
No,
No.
No.
You're using it?
we're using it all.
You're using it all? Okay.
We didn't go, we went close on building coverage, and close on FAR, but we're not in violation.
Okay.
But yes, we've increased the lot coverage as a result of this, but not to the point where we need a variance.
Okay.
I believe that the setback could be looked at in a good light because of the existing orientation of the house and lot. So we're, at the worst-case scenario, 5 feet from the property line. The second floor I proposed, I'm keeping it 12 feet away from the corner of the house, so not to encroach any more on the neighbors. So we've avoided any variances on the right side. And it comes down to adding the 2-car garage and a mudroom that's in violation of that combined side yard setback, as long as we consider the interior lot. If not, the numbers change a little bit. Really quickly, I'd like to show you, because it would probably address some of the concerns of historic. So we got 2 comments, or 3, I should say. One was from historic, not in love with my proposal. You know, he kind of said it was,
Large, nondescript
Thank you.
house. Is that how you would characterize your architectural style?
Hopefully
Large,
not.
nondescript?
hopefully not, hopefully it has a lot of character, a lot of charm. And I was inspired actually by this cute little house. Didn't really nail it as a tutor, but it was cute, and it has a lot of gable roofs and a lot of scaled massing. And so I was inspired by that when we created the architecture for the home. I'm going to jump to the 3D maybe renderings that you don't have. But what I did, so if you see on the top left image, that's the front of the house. The front of the house that is close to the neighbor, so I'm keeping it 12 feet away, and we're not gonna alter the existing roof line that's there. It's a 8-on-12 roof pitch, and I use that as I go through the home. I use that same 12-on-8 roof pitch, but it's kind of interesting. So we kept it 12 feet away from the adjacent neighbor. And I believe, like you can see, so this is the one vantage point. So I pushed back the second floor quite a bit. We've used, I think, a nice scale and massing, and using all these gable roofs to create my composition. And this is another view. This is from the garage. So again, you can see I pushed the second floor back, so it doesn't look big and boxy. And we've created these nice roof lines. So obviously the style I'm going for is more of a modern farmhouse. So very traditional, simple roof lines and pitches with minimal detailing. So I think that's a crisper, cleaner look that's happening at the moment. I did canvass the neighborhood, and I saw a lot of 2-story style colonials. So I think we wouldn't be out of character or.
Can you tell us a little bit about the choice of materials, again, just to
Yeah,
allay the
yeah.
fear that this is a large
Right.
nondescript
And this is a
property?
view of the backyard. So again, you can see the 12 feet I'm maintaining away from the neighbor, and then we start our second floor. Covered porch, which is included in our FAR. We have a breakfast area, dining area, in addition, is a 1-story. And so I think the scale and massing does look tasteful. And again, I was inspired by that cute little house.
What's the proposed siding material?
Well, ideally, we would like stucco. But based on budget, that might, yes, stucco apparently is kind of expensive. But clean look, clean lines, and so stucco would be our first choice. I think then we might go with the hardy plank.
Right, that's what's drawn these elevations is blank siding.
The hardy plank.
Yeah, what's on there now?
Now it's a clapboard siding. Yeah, for sure. And we'd be happy, I mean, listen, I think the look was to not be modern, but a little transitional, with our styling. So ideally stucco, but again, we have many things to get through, so.
I don't think they're increasing the budget under oath.
So that was maybe to kind of tackle the comment from the historic, and then we got a nice comment back from the forester, which we would love to maintain and keep this beautiful tree in the front yard. So the idea is, well, it was a great idea, and it was only after we got the comments, but we'd like to just not do a new front walkway, leave the existing front walkway so we don't have to cut across the lawn and harm the root system in any way. So we would maintain the existing walkway that takes up to the street. The red dot is the tree. And so one of the forester's comments was to install the driveway on top of the grade, which we would agree to do. So that was the forester's comment. Then we had the comments from the engineer. I had a chance to update the engineering comments, which really relate to two trees coming down. We have an 8-inch diameter tree and a 10-inch diameter tree that I will update on your report. And then a couple other things which we took care of, which is the dry well design, and a couple other things about the area of disturbance. We'll definitely be seeking a permit from the soils. Will be over 5,000 square feet of land disturbed, so we'll tackle that.
Okay.
And of course, agree to any other requirements that the engineer might have.
So we would condition the application on inclusion of the full engineer's letter, which includes all her review and comments.
Yes.
It's acceptable? Okay.
Yes.
Anything else you'd like to draw attention to, though, Dipti?
Yes, the areas that are getting disturbed, the demolition of the garage and the removal of the pavement, what will that be restored with?
I would like grass. We haven't actually
Okay.
had a conversation, but
I'm just making sure there's no increase in lot coverage.
no, we wouldn't add anything.
No.
Okay.
We have young kids, we want a big backyard.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I would definitely say grass. We'd like to keep all the mature trees that are back there.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And the other portion was about the dry well. Is there, sorry, you're the architect?
I am.
Okay, so, wasn't sure if the dry well could be moved to the front yard to capture the drainage off the
I
proposed
think that was a great
driveway?
comment,
Yeah.
thank you. So move it to the front yard, I've updated that already.
Okay.
Move it to the front yard, and then
Okay.
if we could have the overflow go to the city sewer,
Yeah, okay,
fantastic.
all right.
Yeah.
I think that covers it.
Moving into the front yard won't impact any trees, though? No.
Don't see that.
Any mature, particularly mature trees. I don't want to offend Mr. Linson.
That is a good point,
Right,
because on this grading plan that I did, I don't have it says 45-inch diameter tree to remain, but it's awfully close to where I put the tank, so.
Probably what we would do is we just
Right.
ask you to
Is that
submit,
where it is?
This is where the tree is.
yeah, so let's just, if it's acceptable to you, we'll ask you to submit a stormwater management plan, which would essentially dig
Yeah.
into the appropriate location of this system. You can decide on the location and any relevant other portions.
Yeah,
It'll be subject to review by the board engineer, and then
yes.
just give us a chance to look at that a little more
And
closely.
please add the limit of disturbance on
Yes,
that.
it will
Thank you.
definitely over 5,000.
Yeah.
And then we spoke briefly about having Save a Tree come and feed the tree, people feed the tree.
Thank you.
It's magnificent, so we'd like to keep it.
Great. Anything else, Dipti, from you? That you want to call attention to? We conditioned the application already, but,
No, nothing, everything's covered.
okay.
Yeah.
Anything else, Mr. Duvenant, you want to draw attention to?
Just all the positive aspects of this, we update, modernize the home, increase the safety and flow for even the kids walking. I mean, to have a car pulling out is odd. So I think that's an exciting thing for this application is all the positive aspects, and then by removing the detached two-car garage, we create an open and air space in the backyard. So I think it's a great application. I didn't see any real negatives at all, only positives.
Okay. Any questions from the board for the applicant or their architect? I'll note there's no one left in the audience here to offer questions or comments. Anything you'd like to say in conclusion?
Thank you for your time.
Excellent, well said. All right, conditions?
Two, once again. First is compliance with those conditions noted in the board engineer's memorandum. And second is that the applicants shall submit a stormwater management plan to the board engineer for review and approval.
Okay, we'd like to begin the deliberations.
Quick question, which way did we decide about going?
I think that's.
Not a corner lot.
gonna get
It's not a
Sort of.
corner
Not a
lot.
corner lot,
Internal lot.
so there's only one variance.
One variance for
Side
total
yard.
side yard percentage.
Okay, so we adjudicated
We
it.
adjudicated, and
Okay.
we adjudicated in a simpler form. I don't, maybe just to hammer that point home entirely, it's not gonna come back to us at some point, having been reinterpreted by.
Correct.
some
We
other-
do have the authority to interpret the DRO as
Okay.
applied to these applications, and in this particular instance, that questionably discretionary decision falls on us,
We have
and
spoken.
we have spoken.
Excellent.
We put that in the resolution.
That's
We will.
That'll be clear.
I
Okay.
have a question. So when I did my zoning analysis, I actually had two other variances that Krista didn't mention,
Okay,
so,
which are those?
okay.
This is the time.
Yes, thank you. So I had, because we would like to add a front porch, that I had a front yard requirement of 33 feet. I'm sorry, front yard from Beekman Road, the house, the requirement is 35 feet. If I go to the covered porch now, it'd be 33 feet. So we wanted to add a 5-foot front porch to the house, and I didn't see that in her.
So a front yard setback proposed of 33,
Yes,
whereas 35 is required.
thank you.
Is there any reason, from your opinion, why Krista wouldn't have caught that? She refers to a new, I thought she referred to as a new open porch.
Yeah, that she had me on
In
the
the
side
front.
yard. She had the side yard identified. Sorry.
And then there was a second, so the front yard, front porch, you were saying?
Yeah, front porch, we were proposing front porch, so, in this diagram, I took off the setback line, but the current house is at 36.2, and we'd be adding, we'd be coming forward, so we'd be at 33 feet from the property line.
These are front
Is that-
yard setbacks.
That's what I had as a front yard setback.
One more front yard setback
Right.
variance. Can you repeat that figure?
Yes. 35 is required, 33 feet is proposed, 2-foot violation.
That was to the porch, correct?
Porch.
But then, what's the second variance that's required?
Okay, thank
You
you.
have a side yard setback, and then you've got the total yard. side-
Total yard we
Total
covered.
side yard setback.
Yeah, so then it would be the side yard right,
Did you see these, Dipti, at all? Did these come up in your review?
The side yard?
The front yard, no.
Typically, I do not comment on
Yeah.
the setbacks, yeah.
So these don't generate any new lot coverage or
No.
any conflict? It's just simply a encroachment in the front yard by, what, 2 feet for the porch?
yes.
And then the actual structure itself also encroaches, or
No.
it's just the 2 feet
Just
for the
2
front
feet
porch?
for the open front porch.
The open front porch.
Yeah, and then that was it?
And that's a covered front porch?
So
Yes.
did I mishear? There was only that one additional variance
Yeah,
in
the only
addition
other-
to the total side yard?
Yeah, the only one that we could talk about is, we stepped it in, but the distance from the porch to the side yard is 5.5 feet, where 5.1 is existing.
And you're saying that creates a side yard
I would think so,
setback?
yeah. Yeah, unless we look at front porches differently, but I think it'd be safe to talk about it.
What's the right thing to do here, Andy? I don't
I
wanna,
think-
back them into a corner.
I think we
But-
should treat those as variances. If we do see something that, on drafting the resolution and in consultation with Krista's office, that means they're not required, we can avoid them, but I think the board should consider that. To me, it looks like they would both be considered variances that the applicants would be seeking here tonight.
Okay, so Mr. Dubin, just for the record then, can you speak to the benefit of this covered front porch? What
Thank you.
benefit might it offer?
Yeah, the benefit with 100% safety element. giving us an overhang to protect from the snow and the rain. The other one, which is also an aesthetic benefit, which obviously it's great for the Warrens to enjoy, but it also promotes a certain kind of neighborhood watch. So we get the aesthetic value, we get the safety, and then we get the neighborhood. So there's a benefit to the neighborhood about that front porch.
All right.
And just so I make sure all of the numbers that I have noted are correct, we have the total side yard percentage variance, 25.88%. The front yard setback proposed of 33 feet to the porch.
Yes.
And then the distance, side yard setback to the porch is 5.5 feet,
Yes.
and 5.1 is existing in that area.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. And we noted the conditions. I don't believe there's any other further conditions. With that, who would like to be in the deliberation? Oh, Scott, go for it. Who wants to go home early tonight? Go ahead.
As someone who's driven past this house 100 times, I feel like I almost had to recuse myself. I'm certainly very familiar with the site. I'm gonna have to take exception with historic preservation, taking exception to this project. I believe the house is probably Tudor adjacent. I wouldn't exactly call it a Tudor. And given the scale and the setup on the site, there's really no way to extend or continue that design. It was never intended to be expanded upon. So I think the architect has made the right call in terms of breaking up the scale and the massing from an aesthetic standpoint. And then if you combine that with everything else, with the driveway being much safer, much more logical, much easier for you to use, it makes all the sense in the world. I think this is a very reasonable design and request, especially since after all is said and done, and we made the right decision when it comes to this site not being a corner lot. I think everything you're asking for is very reasonable. You're getting a much more modern, safer, livable house. And with that, I can be in full favor of this application.
Felt good to get that off your chest.
Oh, no doubt.
I want to comment on the hardship posed by the existing condition. I had two kids who went through Wilson, and I cannot imagine what you go through at drop-off pickup time. That's just utterly ridiculous. So, in the service of getting rid of utterly ridiculous things, I could support the application.
But you were characterizing your children as a hardship, but.
They are and they're utterly
I
ridiculous.
totally agree. To have to do another loop around another block every single time you want to pull into your house is really ridiculous. So I think this is an eminently reasonable and practical approach, and I also disagree with the Historical Society. I think you have good articulation in your design. I think a covered porch makes a lot of sense. I think it's going to add to the architectural integrity of the design. I think it's going to be beautiful. I think it's going to be a huge improvement to what's there, and I would support it.
Okay. Do you want to say anything else?
I'm fine, you're good.
All right.
It's late.
It's late. I would just draw a note as well to the removal of the garage and the driveway associated with the existing garage, and repurposing that building coverage in a far more usable and desirable manner, not just for this particular primary dwelling, but for the usability of the lot, and I think the benefit of the neighbors and the surrounding properties. So for all the reasons that have been noted, I too can support the application. With the conditions as noted, do we have a motion to approve the application?
So moved. Walter.
Walter, all right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Diana gets a second. All right, Stephanie, give us a vote.
Vice Chairman Steiner,
Yes.
Ms. Knoll,
Yes.
Mr. Mullen,
Yes.
Mr. Loiketz,
Yes.
Ms. Sager,
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Chairman Spar.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Good luck with the project.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, before everyone runs, we have minutes to approve from September 6th.
So moved.
Doesn't work like that.
So we'll do a voice vote, and we'll exclude those who were excused for that evening, which were Mr. Malay, Mr. Loiketz, and Ms. Sager. Can I have a motion?
Joe. Joe
Okay,
moved.
and a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, the motion carries.
With that, the September meetings of the Zoning Board of Adjustment have concluded. We'll see everyone in October, October 2nd.